Just look at Karnataka. And it's a warning, it's a real warning for all of us who think about it. I think between 1995 and 2005, I may be wrong in the years because I don't have the figures right now in front of me. From the Vision 2020 group, we made a survey. We found out what is contributing to the state's GSDP. What really contributes? Let's go by government's measurement. And by the way, many of you might not be aware, 3 years ago, President Nicolas Sarkozy in France suddenly woke up and felt GDP is a wrong measurement tool. He realized you can't measure development by money. Papa avrige next election ge on sudden brainwave aitu ansutte. So he did a very good thing. He commissioned Amartya Sen, Joseph Stiglitz and John Patois and said, tell us what can we measure development by. And the report is just released 2 months ago. I would urge all of you to read it. It's called Mismeasuring Our Lives. And they're so beautifully saying how GDP is a flawed instrument. And I've been saying this for 20 years. I'm not a professional economist. You just have to live in your villages to understand it's a flawed instrument. Mere economic measurement, econometric measurements, just measurement of dollar terms is not the true value that we have to give to development and human progress. What does this plan? But anyway, keeping that we have no other better tool because government understands that language. Our policy planners understand only GDP and GSDP. So talking in their own language, I said let's measure. What should policy be driven by? Policy should be driven by empiricism. It should be driven by an empirical understanding of the real life situation. It should be driven by real life in villages. Most of our politicians claim that they are from the villages, but I don't think they understand anything of Halli Bhashe ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ವಿನಃ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಮರ್ತುಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಳ್ಳಿಯ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯನ್ನು ಮರ್ತುಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನಾವು ಮೆಷರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 95ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜ್ಯದ GSDP contribution of the state of 18% of the state's GSDP came from the tertiary sector, the financial sector. There are a lot of bankers here, pardon me for being a little direct. It is the tertiary sector, the software, the finances, etc. 18% of the state's GSDP came. And if you look at the number of people participating in this economy, it was 1.3% of the state's population. And at the same time when we measured agriculture, we had 64.33% of the state of Karnataka, people of Karnataka were engaged in farming. And their share of the state's GSDP was 40%. It's something which we could all be happy about. But what happened in 10 years? I think it is omission and commission of the state of Karnataka. What happened in 10 years? 10 years later, the GSDP contribution of the tertiary sector was 36%. It doubled. And the number of people enormously went up from 1.3 to 1.9%. So what we had was a small number of people making huge amounts of money. I don't grudge it. I don't say the rich should not make money, but my concern is the poor. And I would like to really worry about them because that's something which is really disturbing us. Because we expect a welfare state like India with a constitutional mandate that the Indian constitution gives the country to think about the rural farmers. But are they thinking? Are they really do we have any policy planners? I don't think so. I'll give you this example. When we measured 10 years later the GSDP contribution of the primary sector, the agriculture and land-based sector, it fell from 40% to 20%. It exactly halved in the same period. And you would expect number of people also should come down. It came down from a grand 64, sorry, I made a mistake in the earlier page. 64.67% was what it was earlier. It came down to 64%. An enormous reduction of a statistically insignificant 0.67%. You don't have to even account for it. What does it mean? I think it's a very dangerous signal for us. There's less and less money to be made, which means there's less and less integration to the economic mainstream of this country. And I think our policy should be driven to make that happen somehow. What are we doing as policies? We have a Toyota beside Biddi, whose land is acquired by the government and given back to Toyota a 20-year tax holiday. Now, why does Toyota need a tax holiday? Will they give you tax break on your car? You want a car, buy it. You pay your 20%, 30% excise duty. That's what you want. But why don't you think about the poor farmer there who lost his land? Or maybe he gave his land for a lot of money, but other farmers in Htikote. Now what is the state's policy driving these farmers towards? Towards suicide? Where is a single policy that is truly empowering, that is truly motivating for a rural average 10th standard past 18-year-old young farmer's son today? He dreams of being a janitor in Infosys in Mysore. He doesn't dream of taking care of his own farm because that is the kind of policy culture we have created in this country. We have made urbanization an aspirational product. We have forgotten that ruralization and possibly providing good amenities in rural areas is a better concept. Look at what, and I'm not talking romantically, just look at Malaysia. I have traveled extensively just to understand it there. What did Mahathir Mohamad do? He said, as the president of this country or prime minister, he said, my policy should drive what I want. That is all the job of a policy. It is to facilitate and encourage citizen reaction to result in what I want to see. And what did he do? He said, what is my USP as a country here? Apart from my minerals and natural wealth, what else can I get the world to depend on? He used his diplomatic skills to get the whole world to believe that palm oil is great. And then what did he do? He gave subsidized palm trees, and he said every student who's moving to urban areas for education, if he goes back to his own farm or to any other farm that the government can buy on your behalf, you will get a 5-year support, an interest-free loan, where you can plant your palm oil, you'll get your plants, they decide the quality of palm. He didn't stop there. He said, we will support you. What does the state do? It has to support you. He said every agricultural or an engineering graduate or agro-engineering graduate who wants to go, palm is such a beautiful crop, within 24 hours you don't extract oil, it becomes rancid. It's a waste for the grower as well as for everybody. I think it even has hydrocyanic acid in it. So it has to be extracted within 24 hours. He said, any engineer, I will support you. Go to the villages, set up a factory. Within 24 hours the seeds has to reach your place, the palm fruit. And we will create the roads, we will ensure electricity, we will create transport. A set of boys who can be transport operators, I'll give you trucks. A set of boys who can set up the plant, I'll give you a plant. A set of farmers who want to go back, I'll give you back your land. He gave them a loan and said, 5 years I'll pay you a minimum daily amount that I think you need to survive in a village. He didn't say Ramtara daily wages. 26 rupees and 32 rupees, which is a joke. But even if it's adjusted to purchasing power parity, I still think it's a joke. And he just gave it back, and people went back, and within 7 to 9 years, I went after 10 or 12 years, there's an enormous reverse migration that has taken place there. People went back, and they just didn't go back. What does economic bring with it? Economic gains are, I go back, I make a lot of money. When I make a lot of money, I want to spend it. And how do I spend it? I would like to eat out in a hotel. I would like to have the flashy Hero Honda scooter, or I would like to buy a car today. And when I buy a car, I need a dealer to sell it to me. I need a petrol pump attendant to fill gas for me. I need a mechanic to repair. So I bring in an industry with me. And look at the mindset of doctors. I've interacted with doctors in Malaysia. They were telling me, if we stay in urban areas, the competition is too much. We make only 100 rupees a patient. We go to our villages, our palm oil farmers make so much money, they don't mind giving us 250. So it was easy for him, better for him to go to a village. And if he goes, his son needs a school. So good schools came up. So look at rural Malaysia today. It is no longer rural. You can't call it rural. One man's vision, one government's policy has actually made them participants in progress. And that is the kind of development India wants, and that is the kind of pressure we need to put on the state. Last year's agriculture budget, how many of us have analyzed it? Karnataka government's agriculture budget. What have they actually done? In fact, I have written an open letter to the Chief Minister, maybe a few days later it will get published. Absolutely, we don't even measure what the state spends on. We don't even know what they're spending on. I can give you example after example. This current year, we have spent 61,000 crore rupees on primary education in this country. 40,000 crore rupees from Government of India, 21,000 crore rupees from every state government. And what have we achieved? A 4th standard child studying in rural Karnataka cannot read a 2nd standard Kannada textbook. English bidi. Kannadavе ಓದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಆತನಿಗೆ. 5ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ 3ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಗಣಿತ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. 3ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಗಣಿತ ಏನು 3 2 6 ಅಂತ. ಈ 61,000 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿನ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾರು ಕೇಳೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ತರ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯಕ್ಕೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಖರ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಖರ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇವತ್ತು? Is it really a support mechanism that we are creating, or it is a state-funded pilfering mechanism for a political retinue of chelas that the politicians can create for themselves? And I can talk with authority because I have seen leakage in its crudest form in Karnataka. The worst form of leakage you can see in this country. So I think small farmer in isolation, to conclude, I would like to say, a small farmer in isolation, I think, is meaningless to look at. Don't be unidimensional. I would urge you to be ecosystem based. Look at the largest canvas in front of you. Look at not just production, don't look at just marketing, don't look at integration. Look at building his capacities in every sphere of life. That is development. Build his capacities to manage himself. He'll take care of his food security, he'll take care of his educational security, he'll take care of his health security. You create the wealth, he knows what to spend it on. Our mere basket approach, multiple basket approach should not be on Tendulkar's committee report and planning commission. We must try to implement those concepts in rural areas. And I don't think our farmers need our sympathy. Farmers need our collective intelligence to humbly approach them, partner with them, understand from them, and then learn from them, institutionalize that learning, disseminate it across all the people. We learn, we also try to share whatever we have, and then I believe agriculture universities, banks, all this will have true meaning, And that spirit of partnership, I think, is what can change this country of ours. Thank you so much.